game yesterday. How's he feeling today?
I mean, he gave us huge minutes, playing 17 minutes yesterday. It was a huge help for us, just providing a lot of stability there, providing a shooting threat. I thought that he did a good job defensively. He was moving really well. As those kind of injuries, they're nagging, and they're just like day to day. He was able to get on the court today, get some work done. So we'll see tomorrow where he's at and how that affects the game.
I think the last time you had 2 games in a row against the same team, you said you liked it, but especially now with the playoffs coming up, do you like it even more, just having a chance to play the same team twice and it's not kind of...
And in NBA, it's really hard to beat anybody twice in a row, So obviously, one team is gonna feel that that they need to react after losing a game, and they're gonna come back. And I know that, and I expect that, and I don't expect anything less from teams being coached by Spo. So they're gonna come into that game swinging, but it really comes down to us. It's how our reaction to that is gonna be. We did not accomplish anything. We just won one game. This new game starts with 0-0 again, and we gotta do it again all over. So it's gonna be adjustments on their side. There's gonna be adjustments on our side. So we gotta be ready for a tough game, and we gotta be the one that's gonna set the tone from the start.
Darko, just as a coaching staff, do you kind of relish this challenge? In a quick turnaround game like this against a coach like Spo?
This is the beauty of the job. This is what we signed up for, and this is very exciting for I think this is very exciting for our coaching staff, for our team, for the city of Toronto, for our fans. Just the path that we had in last 2 years, and in this my 3rd year coaching here, just being in a position to fight for something, to fight for a playoff, to fight for seeding, and all of that is very meaningful. I think it's helping with the development of our players, of our roster, and the big picture is those type of games. They're gonna help us big time in big picture of in the middle of process where we are. They're gonna really help us to continue build the team.
This is always a weird time of year where obviously there's so much uncertainty. You guys don't know where you're going to be in a week from now or who you're going to be prepping for. Sandro was just saying that now more than ever, it's important to live in the present. And of course, that's something that you've been preaching all year. Does that day by day, game by game approach, is this where it really starts to pay dividends, that guys aren't looking too far ahead?
And for sure, I think always when you live in the past, you're dealing with something that's behind us, and you can have certain emotions, certain feelings about it, but there is not much connection with the present time. And God knows what happens in 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, and we live in a crazy world, thinking what can happen just globally with everything, and not just to talk about basketball. So I think it's super important to be where your shoes are, just being in the present moment and controlling the things that are in our control. And our control is how we're going to prepare, the edge that we're going to play with, the urgency that we're going to play with in a game, and just bringing that mentality. Other games we have zero influence on outcome of those games. We just got to try to maximize our potential, our talent, all the work that we put in. So especially in moments like this, it's super important to stay present.
How do you evaluate the offensive production for Scottie Barnes when he's being the primary ball handler than when he's playing with Manuel quickly when he's back, or Shea when he's running the offense? Because yesterday, it seemed like his production went up a little bit.
And he's a player that first and foremost, he's going to try to find ways to help the team to win. He's playing without agenda that he needs to score a certain number of points or whatever. He just wants to try to find a way to win. And if that means that he needs to get 15 assists certain night, he's going to get 15 assists. If that means that he's going to score more, he's going to try to score more. But one thing that always is present there that he takes a lot of pride of is his defense and how he's matching up and getting stops and rebounding and pushing the ball in transition. I think when he's playing together with Quickly and Jamal, I think that he's not feeling too much pressure that he needs to create offense nonstop for everybody. And I think there is a fine balance when he's on the ball and playmaking for us. And then also when he's setting screens and then short rolling and then playing in a pocket and still playmaking for us. And when I say playmaking, I don't mean necessarily just passing the ball. It's really making the right decisions for our team.
Darko, we've talked a lot about focus and how to have that for the full 48. Does that need to be a tailored approach to each individual guy? Like, how do you make that a tangible thing? 'Cause it's one thing to say, we can't have lapses during the game, but what do you do to try to empower each guy individually to keep into those little moments?
It really starts with being present, right? And then taking care of the next possession. You're not gonna change a referee's call. You're not gonna change the fact that you missed the previous shot or turned the ball over. But how you're gonna stay in the present is you gotta get back on defense. You gotta be engaged on that side of the floor. You gotta rebound the ball. You gotta be in the right position. You're literally the best way to do that is to get lost in a competition, to get lost in a moment, and just being present there for to do what team needs to do, and worrying about what effect that's gonna have 5 minutes down the stretch, or how your mistake affected the team. We gotta be able to address those things and move on very, very quickly.
Who have you felt has maybe been the best example of being able to do that and being so present every play and maybe the last little bit?
Michael Jordan.
Specifically when you talk about this pairing in between games, I guess this is now your fourth time against an opponent. You've had good success. What are you spending your time on as just you amongst your coaches?
And focusing really on areas that we need to do better job. And there is always room for growth and room for improvement. I think we got to do a better job of understanding personnel and how we need to guard certain guys. What do we want to take away? What do we want to live with? I think it's super important to find a way to keep team motivated and engaged, and to have to play with a sense of urgency, because it's a natural reaction to react after losing a game, and it cannot be a natural reaction for us to relax, because we did not do anything, we did not accomplish anything, we did not secure playoff. So for us, it's every game is a game 7 of NBA finals. So that's how we're approaching it. That's the mentality we're gonna try to have. At the same time, we're thinking about what kind of adjustments they might have, how we're gonna react to those, what adjustments we're gonna make on our part, what did we learn from this game, and really try to grow in this next game with that mentality.
Emmanuel was saying that what stands out about Colin as a rookie is his basketball IQ and kind of his maturity beyond his years on the court. Curious, does that remind you of any young players that you've coached before, just that level of intellect and maturity as a young player?
You don't see it very often that from a rookie that you get that much maturity, and his maturity actually is coming from a place of being humble, not playing from a place of entitlement that he's in NBA, that he made it, that he's good enough. I never sensed that from him from day one with the organization. He was always showing, how do I get better? What can I learn? How do I implement the things that I'm working on? And that's his mentality. He's approaching with everything, he's accepting the challenge, and that's a rare trait for a young player. There is so many things for him to learn about the league, to learn about momentum of games. But one thing that you would never have to worry with him is that he's going to give his 100% on every single possession on offense and defense.
Coach, a lot of people will talk about the importance of a team having a really strong identity and the importance of a team really knowing who it is. You come to now almost to the end of this regular season with this group. How would you describe what this team's identity is, and how important is it to have that really built in as you look to take the next step?
That's a question for you. That's not a question for me, right? You know, it's not what we think that our identity is, it's what other people think that what our identity is, you know, right? So it's one thing what we can think of ourselves and what we would wish to be, and that's to be a gritty team, team that is going to go out there and give their best effort every single night, team that's going to be connected through ups and downs. Those are the standards that we're working towards every single day, you know, and you know, identity is something that it's I don't think you ever reach it, you know. I don't think there in sports there is ever a finish line. I think there is always like more to do, more to prove. Every single day is a new opportunity, and that's the beauty of the sports, because it's always changing, and through that identity you're gonna have moments that you're gonna be tested, that you're not gonna be as connected as you wish, that things are not gonna go your way, but how you're gonna react to those obstacles is what makes you grow in those moments, you know. But we do have our standards, we do have our pillars that we want to play up to, and we're constantly trying to chase that. And a lot of times it looks like a carrot for us, you know. When we think we played a perfect game and we go back to numbers and our pillars, we say, hey, but that area we did not do good enough job. So it's constantly pushing us to do more and give more.
So when you feel like you're closest to that carrot, what is it that you're seeing? What does that look like?
It's a team that plays for each other, that's very connected, that has a great communication on the court, that's a team that's disruptive on defensive end, that's a team that creates a lot of turnovers, that's a team that rebounds the ball well, that's a team that runs with a lot of pace and force in transition, that executes in the half court, making quick decisions. That's the team that shares the ball really well, like all of those traits together.